Hey there, history buffs and gamers. Welcome back to Historic with Gaming. Today we're diving into a fascinating and somewhat grim topic, the history of 19th century American dentistry. Make sure you stick around until the end because there may be some exploding teeth mentioned. So grab your controllers, a good cup of coffee, and let's get started. Before we get to the mid-19th century, I want to take a short trip to America around the mid-18th century. While I was doing research for this video, I found a cool fact that I was shocked to learn and a little disappointed that I didn't know. Did you know that in 1768, when times were rough in Boston for merchants and artisans, Paul Revere, yes, the Paul Revere, turned to being a dentist for some extra cash? According to the New England Historical Society, his dentistry skills were even able to help identify a friend that was killed during the Battle of Bunker Hill. As the story goes, 2 unidentified soldiers were found buried with no way to identify them. Revere was able to look at their teeth and was able to recognize the walrus tooth and wires he used to repair his friend Dr. Joseph Warren's smile. To narrow our scope, we are going to focus largely on the years spanning from 1837 to 1901, which was a time of great change and innovation. During this time, America was seen as the leader of the dental industry. From 1839 to 1840, several major events for the advancement of dentistry happened. 1. The first dental journal, the American Journal of Dental Science, was started. 2. The first dental school, the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery, was established. And 3. The first National Society of Dentists, the American Society of Dental Surgeons, was founded in New York City. However, when it came to dentistry, things were quite different from what we know today. Imagine a time when anesthesia was a luxury and dental hygiene was still in its infancy. Before the mid-19th century, dental care wasn't really governed by anyone as long as someone didn't call themselves a surgeon-dentist. Any random guy off the street could offer dental services as a dentist or dental assistant. Surgeon-dentists did have some form of medical accreditation. Yes, you heard that right. Despite some changes in the dental industry with reforms in the latter half of the 19th century, these untrained dentists continued on. It wasn't until the Dentist Act of 1921 that this came to an end. According to the Dickens Society, charlatan tooth pullers extracted teeth in public performances, and blacksmiths and barbers could scrape away necrotic dentin. If you had a toothache, you also had the choice of pulling your own tooth. These quote-unquote dentists often used tools that were more suited for metalwork than for delicate dental procedures. The most common dental issue was tooth decay, and the solution was often a painful extraction. The lack of proper anesthesia meant that the patients had to endure excruciating pain. Ether and chloroform were introduced in the mid-19th century, but they were not widely available or used. Pain relief was a major concern. Before the advent of anesthesia in the 1840s, dentists relied on opium or laudanum, alcohol, and even hypnosis to mitigate discomfort, according to the Macaulay Museum of Dentistry. These substances weren't ideal and procedures were excruciating. Even when anesthetics began becoming available, they were only selectively administered as a treatment after 1846. In 1844, surgeon-dentist Horace Wells attended a demonstration of a new party favor called laughing gas. While being administered this gas, a man gashed his leg open on something but felt no pain. This gave Wells an idea. He promptly began using the gas to mitigate the pain his patients would feel while going through procedures. While nitrous oxide, or laughing gas, made it so patients were unaware of pain, they were still awake during their procedures. In 1846, another American dentist, William Thomas Green, Morton of Boston successfully demonstrated in public the effectiveness of ether anesthesia. Ether is an inhalation anesthetic that renders the patient unconscious for their operation/procedure. Eventually, safer options were developed for helping patients sleep during procedures. Interestingly, the mid-19th century also saw the rise of women in dentistry. One of the first female dentists in the United States was Emmeline Roberts Jones, who began practicing in 1855 despite facing significant challenges. She paved the way for future generations of women in the field. Towards the end of the 19th century, advances in dental practices were coming about in a rapid fashion. In 1864, we have the invention of vulcanized rubber as a substitute for difficult and costly gold dentures, which ultimately made dentures more affordable. Just a couple years later, in 1866, Lucy Hobbs graduated from the Ohio College of Dental Surgery and became the first female to obtain a DDS degree. In 1868, we start seeing the beginning of licensure in the United States, with the states of New York, Ohio, and Kentucky leading the way. In 1871, American dentist James Beal Morrison of Missouri introduced the foot treadle drill, which made performing intricate and aesthetic restorations easier. Also, in 1870s, porcelain inlays were used to fill larger cavities. At the end of the 19th century, American dentist Willoughby Dayton Miller published The Microorganisms of the Human Mouth, in which he describes that dental cavities are caused by bacteria. This gave rise to concerns of dental hygiene and awareness about cavity prevention. Of course, this allowed oral care companies to begin marketing oral health products for home use. Finally, we have the standardization of the process of manufacturing silver fillings for cavities by G.V. Black in 1895, as well as the use of the X-ray being adapted for use in dentistry by Edmund Kells, and Washington Wentworth Sheffield invented the toothpaste tube, both of these events occurring in 1896. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the exploding teeth of the 19th century. There were only a few accounts of this occurring, but it seemed to be something that might have actually occurred. The exact reason this happened is unclear, since the cases of exploding teeth seem to disappear as dental science evolved. The most plausible explanation is a chemical reaction occurring with fillings used for cavities. Back in the 1800s, there wasn't a standardized material to be used on cavities. Some dentists used tin or lead, others used gold before the invention of the baked porcelain inlays we discussed previously. The interactions of some of these metals used could act like a battery, and the electric charge could cause the tooth to rupture. I have included a copy of the Dental Cosmos, a dental journal, that was issued in January of 1861. On pages 318 to 319, dentist W.H. Atkinson accounts of 3 cases of exploding teeth in Mercer County, Pennsylvania, in 1817, 1830, and 1855, respectively. It's an interesting read, and I highly suggest you check it out. Comparing 19th century dentistry to today's practices is like night and day. Modern dentistry offers painless procedures, advanced tools, and a deep understanding of oral health. It's a testament to how far we've come in just over a century. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the history of 19th century American dentistry. If you enjoy learning about the evolution of dental practices and the intriguing stories behind them, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Your support helps me create more content like this. If you have any questions or thoughts, please leave them in a comment down below. I love hearing from you. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Historically Gaming and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep gaming and stay curious. Bye!